This is an example of what we did. This was the go-to tent with a big tarp being put over the tent, not right on top of it, because then moisture just collects right under the tarp, but some separation between the first and the second. Stayed very nice and dry. This one, unfortunately, because no one was there during the night, it partially blew off and some rain got in, but we kind of suspected that and we removed the equipment, so there was no problem. See if there are any other interesting pictures. Oh, oops. There we go. So this is this is where we prepare the food. These tents were up anyway, and then we put some additional tarps up, like that blue one. We stayed nice and dry. I mean, it was a bit chilly, not very chilly at all. It was a bit chilly, but we stayed nice and dry. I think it wasn't Andy, but it was the 40-meter tent. At one point, they built a little dike because there was some water runoff coming down a hill towards them. So somebody just took some towels and made a little dike, and so the water would run past the tent. You know, it proved that we really could operate in those conditions. We didn't do anything special. We didn't have to. You know, we didn't go out and buy lots and lots of special equipment. We stayed dry. The generator stayed dry. It was actually kind of neat.
One of the things that contributed to that was it was all put together before it started to rain. Yeah.
Well, we planned it
together during the rain. Another whole story.
Yeah. So here, this is the 40-meter tent inside a bigger tent. So whatever little bits of rain got through the big tent was stopped by the second tent. You can see here, you can sort of kind of see the generators were put under this stairway. And then for part of the time there was a tarp on the stairs so that the water didn't get down onto the generators. Very simple. It works. You know, we didn't need a $5,000 rain preparedness kit, which I've actually seen sold. Or seen for sale, I should say. You know, we made do with some tarps. It's a useful thing for rain or snow to have a couple of tarps, a couple of medium-sized tarps, a couple of big tarps, some poles you can put them on, or some trees. Identify some trees you can put them on out in the backyard. So if you have to run a generator, you can set up a tarp on some poles, or a combination of trees and poles. You don't want the tarp on the generator, you want it over the generator, and then the rain, the water doesn't get on the generator. Remember, you don't want the generator near the house, too near the house, and people always have to be reminded of this. It is not sufficient to put the generator in the garage and then turn on a fan. Okay, the wind blowing into the garage is a lot stronger than any fan, unless you've got some industrial fan that doubles as an airplane engine. And there have been, every year, there are a couple of cases around the country of people getting asphyxiated or near asphyxiated because they put a generator in the garage, they take a fan, and they're trying to blow the air out with a 30 or 40 or 50-mile wind blowing the
So they just open the garage door, gee, that's open, that should be okay.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, that obviously is dumb. But you know, they think, well, I'll just put a table fan here, and that'll blow the exhaust out. First of all, it doesn't blow it out, and what little does get out just goes right up alongside the house and into any open windows that are above the garage. So if you've got bedrooms above the garage, which a lot of houses do, that gas, those fumes are just going to go right into the bedroom. So the generator goes 10, or what's the standard, 10 feet, minimum 10 feet, or 15 feet?
8 feet.
Oh, okay. I prefer 10 feet away from the house. And, you know, so we survived quite nicely. Did the usual, what's this? Oh, this is after the rain. Well, here, this was the setup for Andy's
tent for
tarp. The generator itself was on a wooden or plastic pallet, We, what's his name?
He works at US Games, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a member of the club. I can't remember his name. I'm drawing a blank. I'll think about it. I'll think of it in a minute. Huh? He's a member of the club, Luis. Thank you, Luis. Luis made a couple of these pallets available. We just got the pallets so the generator was not sitting in the grass, in the dirt, and that was it. Somebody, yeah, we had some people set up. Oh, this is just Fred with the servers. We had some people set up in one of these rooms inside this is a workroom inside the observatory, and they were set up there, and it was perfect, except for one minor little problem. There was some exhaust fan in there that turned on every 20 minutes, and it ran for 10 minutes at a time, and had a bad ball bearing. So they couldn't hear themselves think whenever that thing fired up. They finally had to give up and move.
Do you want to tell them what fan it was?
What do you mean?
It was the ventilation fan when you turn the light on in the men's room.
Oh! Is that what? Okay.
That's one every 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that. That's the first I heard about that. Okay. Here's, Tony came up, Tony O'Connor came up, and this is him operating by lamplight in the Goda tent with Elena. And they were nice and dry. That was in the height of the rain. So, anyway. The usual thing, we put up about, 14, 18, maybe 22 antennas, used 2 or 3 of them. This year they
Put one up twice.
Huh?
Put one up twice.
Yeah. This year they actually used a compass to figure out which way north was. So they last year they put up one of the antennas pointing to the southeast. So they were talking to Cuba a lot and couldn't figure out why. This time they used a compass so they could figure out which way was southwest. That worked a lot better. Just the band sucked, but we got 7,000 points, and we think we did pretty well compared to.
I remember last year, I thought we had 2 or 3 compasses, but they all seemed to point different directions.
Well, yeah, there was that problem too.
That was the metal that was alongside of it.
Yeah, well, some of the compasses that are built into these phones are not great, or I think they're getting better. And they make a very big difference if you're holding the phone this way or holding the phone that way, as to what reading you're getting. Really,
well, if you shake it first, then it'll work properly.
Yeah, no. I mean, like 45 or 60 degree difference, depending on whether the phone's this way or that way. It was interesting, to say the least, but the antennas worked out rather well. And we'll just have to see how we did. Terry, he's been collecting intelligence, and what he's hearing is a lot of people didn't do well. The one thing that could be a problem in terms of points is that some clubs that used to operate 5 or 8 or even 10 dropped back to 3 this year. So
we have a lot more competition.
Yeah, we may have a lot more competition, but we'll just have to see how it went. We went the whole time. We got some visitors. We had 40 people there total. Usually we get 80, but given the weather, that wasn't bad. And I think that's about it. We don't have very many other.
WECA did much poorer this year than in the past. We did a lot more training and a little bit less operating to get more people up to how to use the equipment and what the equipment was, and they've never been on HF before. There are a lot of VHFers that have never been on HF before. So with band conditions as poor as they were, we did more training. We had plenty of equipment. I mean, we had the 100-foot tower with the beam on it, the 80-foot tower with the beam on it, the 40-foot tower on the truck with the beam on it, plus all the wire antennas, wire beams, et cetera, et cetera. So their antenna system was more elaborate than ours, and the equipment was more elaborate than ours. We're talking K3s, we're talking the big a couple of the other high-end radios.
Well, I mean, for the most part,
Nice to look at.
Andy was using a K3 for CW.
Yeah, well,
Most of our other stations were 756 Mark III, 756 Pro.
right. But they were low line compared to what some of the members there had.
Or 20 meter. What was our 20 meter
Yeah,
station?
both
It was,
readers, and I used it.
Huh?
I used it. Was it Yaesu,
That was the go-to.
yeah.
That's the old one?
One of the things we had what, 2 or 3 beams up? Two this year. Our one beam that we always put up on top of the observatory, but we also put up a beam.
The hanging
Hanging
by
from a tree.
by the CW.
The theory is that for field day, you don't really have to rotate the beam at all. So Andy
From here, all you're doing
yeah,
is
Andy
west.
and a couple of people will put the beam up in a tree. They'll actually attach ropes to it and they'll pull it up in a tree. It's really funny. You know, you look at it and go, wait a minute, what the hell? But it works. So
Now, you're showing the picture of Elena here,
yeah,
but the real picture of Elena was Steve passing out the food, cooking and passing out the food.
yeah. Let me see if we,
That was the important part of it.
we'll see if we have a picture. Well, that's Ernest and Kathy, and Steve was doing a lot of the cooking and prep work.
Elena helped out quite a bit.
Yeah. What's this picture? Oh, there. That's the go-to tent again.
And Elena would tell Steve what to do.
Yes, she did.
You know what, when you're doing things.
So, anyway, that's, what is this a picture of? Is that our beam? Yeah, that's our beam hanging from a tree.
It's pretty funny.
It's really funny. Okay, I think that's about it. Anybody, anything else?
Our field day is a lot of fun,
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
I think we had a good time.
We had fun.
So that was pointing 270, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Roughly.
270, 260, something like that.
You know what, we realized, it was pointing about 240, and it's too far south. We
Yeah.
had finally looked at the Great Circle chart and realized we were too south for all this time. So 270.
Well, last year was pointing, it was originally put up pointing 160. It got moved to about 210, but that still was pointing way too south.
The observatory, or?
No, the one in the tree for CW. This was pointing much further west than last year.
Huh.
So. You know, remember, in most real emergencies, you don't need a beam. A vertical wire antenna does just fine. So, field day has stopped being a test of emergency communications. Long ago became a contest. But anyway. That's it. Thank you all, and we'll keep you informed about this fire thing, because this could be something really useful.